Welcome back. I'm the Watch King. On this video, we are going through every type of Datejust dating all the way back to the 50s, early 50s, all the way through the 90s. That's what we have in stock, and we'll even talk about the new ones, the pros and cons. So stick around. This will be a long one. Also, if you're looking for any of these watches, they're available in the links below. Definitely take your look at pricing. If you're watching this in the future, some of them might have been sold by then. But without further ado, let's hop straight into it.
Jumping right into it, there's going to be a lot of information, so definitely going to try to talk a little bit slower and have a slower video here, but I also don't want to bore everybody to death. So we're going to go back. This is the oldest here, through all the generations, going all the way from 1952 through 1991. So we have a lot of decades to cover, but let's start with this piece. Now, in the process of making this video, this watch is actually sold, so it is going off, but I asked to do this video, and of course, he watches the channel, so he's like, of course, do a video with my watch. So this is an original Oyster Perpetual. This is before they called it Datejust, because this is 52, so originally 45, they only made them in gold. And I think that they had options back then. There's a lot of different reference numbers. So this one is just Oyster Perpetual. There's no precision. There's no chronometer certification, so they didn't call it a Datejust. Cool things to note, it's 36 millimeters. It actually, what's really unique, is fun, that the date window is all red. So no matter what day you land on, that date window is red. So it's the 15th now, it's the 16th, and it's red. I kind of like that as a cool, I don't know, nod to the past. It's not a roulette date. It is an all red date. I also have another one in the shop right now that's an all red date. Really incredible. The very first Oyster date, 1950s. I believe it is also, might be 52 also. There's another, I did a full review on that too. So heading into this watch, what makes it unique, the red date window, radium lume, which patinaed the dial, but not patinaed the dial to the extreme, which is also awesome because you don't want it too patinaed. It's like a creamy color. The bezel is what makes this incredible. So the engine turn bezel is the least popular. And this is technically an engine turn. We'll get to what a real engine turn, like modern vintage, basically, what the most produced engine turn bezel is. But this one, as you can see, early 50s here through the 50s, this is a unique type of engine turn. Bracelets made in the USA, but it was a Rome watch. I don't know, they could have been put on later. It was sold in Rome. It had the original papers, which is pretty cool. So this is 1952. Moving on to the 6605, 1958. Now, 58, 6605, this is well known, these watches. I think that this is probably the best value in vintage Rolex, possibly. Another thing to note, the hands on these weren't original. And the dial, unfortunately, this dial color never came like this. And you can kind of tell that it didn't come like this. But the dial, to me, looked so original. So I found out through the guy selling it, the original owner told him that he painted the dial. He had it painted by a watchmaker, which is devastating to hear. Absolutely devastating, because it is the original one. So they could have changed it for an aftermarket piece. They didn't. So it is what it is. I mean, I wish I can go back in time and change it, but we can't change history here. The watch is extremely clean. I think the guy never wore it. The bracelet, for what it is, it's so tight. Original, everything original with it. A little bit of that bubble back. This is more of a bubble back. As you can see, it's a thicker back. It's getting thinner, the backs, as we go along too. Other things to note there, but everything's amazing. I mean, the 50 end piece, just everything is dead on. The hands, the dates, just the watch is perfect. The color is off. It would only come in, I believe, black and white in this era. Maybe champagne and two-tone. So just really cool, unique condition. Fluted bezel also, you'll notice, and this is the older fluted I want to mention. So this is gold, solid gold bezel, and we'll get into the modern. So just a unique look of the Datejust if you're looking at it a little bit further, but everybody will recognize this as a Datejust no matter what. Even with this, because of the Cyclops. Everybody knows the Cyclops for that. Now what we call, I get into the modern vintage. This is the stuff you see almost every day. Nothing wrong with it. Reliable workhorse. Acrylic, this is still the acrylic era. This is 1601. We move away from the butterfly movements, the gorgeous movements of the past with the 6605, which comes in a beautiful butterfly movement. And then we go into the 1575 movements. 1575 meaning that the 75 is the date. 1570 is what's stamped on the movement. Just an extra detail. I don't hear a lot of channels discussing, so don't open up your Datejust and it says 1570, start freaking out that it's the wrong movement. No, no, no. It's a 1575, but they just stamped them 1570. Don't know why they did that, but they did on some of them. This is an early example of a 1603, not the earliest, but it is 1968, so it actually isn't the earliest example, but it is. They ran for a very long time. Things to note about the 1570 movement since we're on it. If you pull out the crown, there's no hacking on this particular 1570, but we'll get into another one in a second. Hand wind, and of course, no quick set in this era. So you have to go all the way around for your date. And as you can see right there, switches over right at midnight. Gorgeous. The modern day engine turn that you're used to seeing, unlike the other piece. And it's just a nice, just awesome watch in general. There's nothing wrong. Another thing to note is that the case back is no longer that bubble back kind of feel that you get on the 6605. It is the modern day. This one has a few light scratches, but it's a high polish and then the satin in the center. A silver dial on this one, which I absolutely love. Tritium loom. They got rid of the radium at this point. Jumping into by far the most valuable and coolest watch, in my opinion, on the table. 6605 probably second, just because of the rareness and the coolness of it. But this one is the 1630. Now, the 1630, also known as the Thunderbird, confuses a lot of people. This particular example even more so. So the 1630 is an automatic movement, 1575, same as this, same as all the non-quick set Datejust 1601s and so forth. This is 1603 because of the bezel, but going into this watch, this has 1575, and I'll also show you, if you pull out the crown, there it is, it stops. So it hacks, so it's a 1575 that hacks, but that means it's a later model, which this is the very last of them. This is a 78 model of a 1630. You can also, it's very easy to tell with the serial numbers, which is great. And this is just incredible. This is one of the most incredible pieces of history because we're talking, Rolex is a massive, massive company. I can't state it enough. A lot of people think that they're rare and exclusive, which certain models are, aka the 1630. But if you're going and buying a new GMT, such as mine, right, on the wrist, I'm a hypocrite of it too, but they're not rare. They're producing millions of watches a year, and that's the guesstimate, right? It could be 1 million, it could be 3 million, somewhere in between probably. And when you have a piece like this, that there's only 1,500 in the world, it's almost crazy to see. The craziest part about it too is that unfortunately this is not an original bracelet. It is an original oyster quartz bracelet. It came on an oyster quartz that was two-tone, probably 17013, something like that. But it would be a center link, would be gold if it was the Thunderbird. They fit perfect. It's meant for the watch, though. I mean, all the oyster quartz cases, the bracelets, they fit perfect. The case is actually slightly different, slightly smaller, but it's the oyster case look, so it's just amazing. But going into it, this one is often rarely seen because of the diamonds. They didn't make a 1630 in diamonds. Somebody, and as you can see, 3 out of the 4 watches so far actually had modifications. But that's why you get it for such a great price. You can see, if you look closely, if it focuses the camera, that the hands are slightly bent. So that means that the jeweler, I assume it's a jeweler, placed these diamonds in here. And I mean, he did an immaculate job, because this is an original dial. The lume plots are original. They patinaed perfectly with the tritium on the hands, so we know it's original. So they used the original dial, put diamonds into it, and the only way I could tell, and my watchmaker could tell, is because they moved the minute hand, and they bent it up so it could clear the diamonds. Because Rolex would never do that. They just would never. So it could have been a piece unique. They've done things like that for the Sultan of Oman and other things, but that just confirms that, hey, it wasn't a piece unique. I was very excited when I first got it, but it's still an incredible watch either way, right? You could find another one of these dials. I mean, as we said, they didn't make a ton of these watches. 1,500 in two-tone, I believe, and 1,500 in steel is the best estimates I could find. Some say 1,000, some say 2,000. So a lot of people agree it's 1,500, meaning sort of in the middle there in the estimates. So very unique. Sapphire is to note on the glass. And we're going to head into the exact watch. No, not exact watch. This is technically a later model. This came out in 78, 77 with the serial numbers, more like 78, 16013. This is when we move away from the 4-digit, right? These are all 4 digits, into the 5 digits. Now, the 5 digits, what does that mean? That means that we have now the ability, let me just give it a quick wind, wake it up from its sleep. This is actually excellent condition. As you can see, silver dials. We have a lot of silver dials on the table, which is awesome. I prefer them, actually. But let me just snap both of them. So as you can see here, looks very similar to the 1603 and the 6605, but there it snaps over like them. I just want to get in the right position. But the ability to do a quick set instantly changes the date. Let me show you that. It is immensely powerful, and it makes you feel more luxurious than going all the way around. Those are great. The 1603 is great for a first Rolex and you're wearing it every day, but this is great just to have in your drawer. Let's say you wear it once every 2 weeks or whatever, or once a week maybe. You can easily get to the date, not a big deal. And it just, that added convenience is fantastic. Now, you don't get the rarity and the coolness of wearing something like a 6605, but you don't get the hassle of it too, right? These are endlessly serviceable, such as these two, right? These are both the movement is just super easy to service, unlike the actual quartz ones, which are very expensive and hard to service. I heard even examples of certain service centers not even having the motors of this is an automatic, but I'm pointing to it because it looks like it, of the oyster quartz. But moving on to this watch, they're very fantastic. This actually moves into another movement, which is the 3035, which is the first quick set, used also in Submariners and so forth, all through the collection. You'll notice a trend. A lot of watches share movements, which is great because that's how Rolex keeps the price down and is fantastic. So I like that. Gold crown, solid gold, and solid gold bezel, 18 karat. Actually, and at this time in the later 70s, everything on the inside would be gold too. So the whole watch, they used precious metal 18 karat in the 18 karat parts. Last but not least, now this one, as you can see, stretchy bracelet. So still that era of the stretchy bracelets, but same case back as the rest. Actually, it's really, really great. Solid watch. Bracelets beat up, but the watch isn't, which is funny because that's what people, when they wear their links too short and they tighten the bracelet so much, it stretches over time. So if you wear your watch too tight or too loose, this is a great telltale sign. It's actually the worst condition of any bracelet on this table. This is 1958, endlessly better. This is 53 or 52, excuse me, and the bracelet's even better. So doesn't matter how old your Rolex is, it's how you treat it. It's a great lesson to know, basically. This is a later generation. Let me get to the reference. 16220, which is the still a 5-digit, but this is stainless steel, 1991, so way later. You'll notice the added of sapphire, so sapphire crystal in the watch. This one is also the last generation of that engine turn. As you can see, it's actually slightly different. So they've gone through 3 iterations on this table of engine turn right there. And then you have the 1603 and then this one. You have all the modern convenience. Sapphire crystal is a huge help. That's why I love this watch, because it's vintage and has that. But it also has quick set, as you can see right here, and an upgraded 3135 movement inside of there. So just really cool. Another thing to note too, which kind of is unique and cool with this watch, that Rolex dial is so neat. Rolex is actually written throughout the dial. And I've actually made a review on this watch talking about it and everything, but just a little more info on it. So it is super clean. Look at it. But the dial is called computer dial or anniversary dial or jubilee dial. There's a lot of names for this dial. Let me see if I can get it here in focus. But as you can see, Rolex, Rolex, Rolex written all throughout. And that's it. That is all of the Datejusts I have in stock at the moment. I'm going to run and put these back in the bank just to show you what a modern would look like. Forget the head of it, because that's it. This is a GMT Master. Solid middle links, solid end links, because what you would get here in the 1991 version, you would have solid end link, the outside, but you wouldn't have solid in the middle links here. And these are actually hollow there, still in 1991 with the 5-digit. But the modern day, everything's solid. I've seen them stretch out. They wouldn't have this oyster clamp either. This is only for the GMT, but they would open like you would see with all the other Datejusts, just like that. Yeah, so the modern have its benefits. The vintage have its benefits. But as you saw here, you have a unique thing from each generation. I actually am very proud of the collection I've curated for everybody to shop to, because each of them have their own special, unique flavor to the store, and I think each of these has a different type of buyer, which is very cool to look at, in my opinion. So I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, or I actually am a jeweler, a lot of people don't know that I sell jewelry too, so you can check the links below. I sell that primarily on eBay, but if you're looking for anything like that, also definitely check the links below. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will definitely catch you in the next one. Have a great day.